Hello book lovers, it's Nora, and I am bringing you this video to talk about Three Women by Taddeo. I already returned my copy to the library. Three Women is a piece of narrative nonfiction that, as the title suggests, tells the story of three women, Maggie, Sloane, and Lena. While they have very different stories, the common threads that tie them together are the exploration of desire and the politics of desire. What we want and when it's okay to want it. Who is allowed to feel desire and for whom? Particularly from the perspective of a woman, I found it really investigated as well how women's desire is often tied up with the need to be desired yourself, aware of being seen and how you're being seen and by whom. This was a book I could not put down, but also had to, because it left me with feelings that were hard to sit with, to be quite honest. I found that similarly to Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov, of course, this was a book that's style and content left me in conflict. Taddeo's writing is beautiful. I found myself needing to remember that these stories were true, and when I did, that's when I needed to take breaks, because the stories invite you in, they leave you wanting more, they're lovely. But similarly to Nabokov's Lolita, which is such a gorgeously written work, but what the text conveys is horrific. The first of the three women is Maggie, whose story is told across different time frames. When she was in high school, she had a romantic and sexual relationship with her teacher. Yikes. And this relationship pretty much left her with PTSD. In adulthood, she's found herself living in the wake of this experience and has been unable to move on and recover from the harm. Cut to 8 years or so later, and she sees that her teacher has not only not been harmed by the aftermath, but he has propelled to the pinnacle of his career and is being honored as the teacher of the year in the state they live in. So seeing him receive one of the highest accolades someone of his caliber could receive triggers her to finally, after so many years, come forth with the truth and take him to trial. So her story goes back between the actual relationship and the trial. Oftentimes when you hear about a story such as this, the girl's experience is wrapped up in what these accusations do to the man, how he's impacted, his motives. And while that is explored in the trial, because of course, in the telling of the actual relationship, Maggie's experience is honored as truth. And that was something I was surprised to find so refreshing, for lack of a better word. The second woman in the story is Lena. Her story also begins in high school. She was hooking up with truly the boy of her dreams and not really having the relationship she wanted with him. They were not exclusive. They were not boyfriend, girlfriend. So one night when they're not together, she goes to a party and is drugged and raped. He breaks up with her. Cut to present day, and she's in a loveless marriage and aches with desire that is unfulfilled. Her husband will not touch her. When he initiates sex, it's horrifically unsexy. He won't kiss her, and she talks at length about how that's truly what she needs. And so finally she's had enough and has the wherewithal to leave him, and actually has an affair with this high school lover who is married. And while she has the best physical relationship of her life, finally has her physical desires met, she is still left emotionally empty. And this relationship ravages her in ways in which she imagines she is in control, but is not. And so that relationship really explores who's allowed to feel what in relationships, and what someone is willing to do, what someone is willing to sacrifice to feel wanted and have their needs met. The third of the three women is Sloane, who is a restaurateur who is married, and while her and her husband are not swingers per se, they often invite a third into the bedroom. And while this is something that Sloane has historically been into and derived pleasure from, she is never centered in their sustained relationships. It is always about her husband's desires being fulfilled. Even when he's not there, it's about her being with who he wants to see her with and having his desire fulfilled through her. They eventually get involved with one of their business partners, which is as messy as it would seem. And when the inevitable fallout occurs, Sloane is slut-shamed, judged, her reputation in her community is tarnished, while her husband's is completely untouched. He played an equal part in the tryst, if not more, as he was really the puppet master pulling the strings. So what these three women have in common is the sacrifices they're willing to make to be wanted, to be loved. If not be wanted and loved, at least feel it, you know? And Taddeo does an impeccable job of honoring their stories, of letting the reader inside their heads in a way that maybe I'm just not experienced with narrative nonfiction, but I found jarring for these true stories. It's also worth mentioning that each of these three stories take place pre-Me Too movement, and the reader is invited to ponder if, in the wake of our cultural shift, if anything would be different. I'm kind of left thinking not really, but I guess there's no way of truly knowing. I loved this book. I read it with a heavy heart and open mind. I really think that's the only way to do it. It left me with so much to think about, and I'll probably be thinking about it for years to come. Really can't recommend it enough. So I hope you enjoyed. If you have thoughts, anything you want to talk about, please let me know, as I would love to discuss this book, which I realize I'm a little late to reviewing. It came out in 2019, but just as poignant today as any other, in my opinion. So I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for taking the time. Bye!